Hi there, new features within Maptitude. In this session what we're going to look at is travel time matrix and building that within Maptitude rather than within Facility Location Planner. A couple of reasons why we might want to do this, very much around speed. For those of you who are familiar with the travel time matrix within Facility Location Planner, it takes the areas and bases and calculates the time taken between each of those. Generally, when we're running this for a force at LSOA level, for example, we might be looking at 1,000 by 1,000, so it's looking to do 1,000,000 calculations, and that can take a long time to run. Typically, that would involve setting up multiple computers or setting it up overnight, hoping the next morning that it's not fallen over and that all the calculations have been completed. So that's how historically we've done it, and what we've got here in this user case for being able to do it within Maptitude. So 4-step process. I'm just going to show you exactly how that works right now. So I'm going to start off with some data in Excel. So what I've taken is it's South Wales data, but we're looking at the say 22 bases and 285 areas. So the data itself isn't necessarily relevant. What I want to do is to create a matrix relatively quick that will do the travel times for each of the bases to these areas. So you might notice within these, for both base and areas, I've set up the spreadsheet to have the base name and then columns that are X and Y. So in this, the X is your easting, your Y is your northing. In the past, what we would have just said is called X. The column B1, the cell here would be called easting, this one would be called northing. I would suggest the best way of doing this is to set them up as X, Y, and that's what Maptitude will recognize, and it makes things a lot easier. But I have this Excel file that's set up. This is the points that I want to use within Maptitude. I'm going to close that down just now, but it's called SWP locations, which will be relevant in a second. I'm going to fire up Maptitude. It's a couple of seconds. There we go. So Maptitude is opening up just now. When I open it up, the first thing I get is the dialog box asking me what I want to do. So I want to create a new workspace of my data table spreadsheet. Well, I've got a spreadsheet, so that's what I want to use. So OK, and we're going to say the spreadsheet is hidden away in my files. So I'm just going to use the last one I used. So SWP locations, and I'm going to open that up. Okay, so I'm going to start off by the bases. So Maptitude has recognized that there are two sheets within that spreadsheet. I'm going to start off with the bases. Hit OK. So during this, I've got to create a map wizard, and the first thing it's popped up has said, we've been able to see that you've got X and Y coordinates here. We think that they are geographical coordinates. Do you want to check them? So yeah, I'm going to say X is X, Y is Y, and those are the coordinates we're going to use. So from that, I hit next. Most important thing, if you want to keep your coordinates on the British Isles, is to then hit coordinates and change the coordinate system. By default, Maptitude thinks in terms of longitude and latitude. We want to think in terms of British National Grid. So I need to change the class system in here. It's a European class system, and our zone is Great Britain, British National Grid. So set that up. OK. Next. I'm going to import the data to map it. I'm not going to put any themes on, and I'm not going to do any analysis on this. So if I hit finish here, what we see is 22 records have been examined. We've located all 22 of them. There's no records that are not located and no records with invalid IDs. So when I hit OK here, I'm hoping to see a map of the South Wales area that has dots for those locations. So yeah, that's what's coming up, and what we can see is if I start to strip off some of the layers, we should just see that within the South Wales area we've got all our dots within there. So pretty happy with that. So that's the bases. If we want to do the areas, we need to do File, Open, navigate once again to the one thing here. You need to change the file type from workspace down to Excel document, Excel worksheet, PW locations, and this time I want to use areas. Now as that goes in, it already reads that straight in and says, Maptitude has found geographical coordinates, do you want to use them? Yes, I do. So yes, once again, X and Y, and it's always good practice just to check the coordinates, but it should still be British National Grid. So I'll put that as OK, and within few seconds we now have a map that shows all 284 of those locations. Now Both my bases and my areas are in blue. I'm just going to change those areas to be a slightly different colour so that I can determine the two of them there. So we'll go with a green in this case. There you can see that the areas are in greens and the blue shows us our bases. Okay, it's all good there. So that's me read the points into Maptitude. Now I want to be able to do a travel matrix from here. So the next thing to do is to go up to Tools, up on the top here, Tools, Routing and Directions, and then Distance and Travel Time Tables. And I want to change this so that we're looking from base, as the base layer, all 22 of them, the ID is called the base, and I'm going to go to the areas, all 284 of them, where areas. I want to route rather than straight lines. I want the routing to be done as the fastest. Generally, we would skip anything that's more than 6 hours within this. Though some of the roads are a bit windy, we can get to everything within 6 hours. That's not a problem. And then output, you've got the choice of a table or a matrix. For what we want to do, we want a matrix and we want it open in Excel. 6,000 calculations. I'll set the clock on this, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to do this within a minute. So if I hit OK, and then I'm going to say SWP travel times out. So it's going to start the calculations here. You can just see it's going through that process. And I'm hoping that that's going to be relatively quick to do all of those. And as we see, that has been done. So I now have a file that's opened up and giving my travel time matrix. So I've got travel time in minutes and the distance on a separate sheet. So we have, for each of the bases, all of the areas that have been calculated. It would just be a case now of checking that that's correct and consistent format with what's in our FLP, copying and pasting these values into FLP and being able to use them. So something that would have taken, in this case, a couple of hours can be done in a few minutes. Any questions, please get in contact with us on info@processevolution.co.uk. Thanks.